Welcome to Talking Crypto Bull. What's going on, mate?
Hey, man. Wow, carnage out there. I just decided to look over at the markets. I haven't been looking very much lately. It's just been it's a bloodbath out there, hey?
Yeah, it's full on. Give me, dude, 1 second. I'm getting feedback. I'm not sure where I'm getting it from.
Right. It sounds great to me.
Where am I getting feedback from? Yeah, no, I'm just hearing everything twice. So I just want to make sure make sure what's going on. Where is it? I know I've got another. There we go. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. All right. Here we are. Welcome to everyone. This is Talking Crypto Bull. This is Bluey here. You're speaking with the Golden Bull and Bluey. Ask us questions.
Hey, that mic. I think you had a better mic just before.
Just before I had a better mic.
Speak some more.
La la la, blue bum. Blue bum. Is that better?
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah.
Okay. I've got a bit of a weird setup this week. Just going through a different we're going through Restream this week. Just playing around with the different things. What are we going to talk about, man? Like, we've had absolute carnage. The markets have just dumped so hard. I mean, the Ethereum in particular.
What's Ethereum?
Seeing it below that 2,000. Seeing it below that $2,000.
2,050. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it got down to 1,700 and something.
Oof.
So, and now it's come back to 1,900. Yeah, it's definitely not what anyone wants to see if you're, waiting on this. If you've got crypto bags, it's not what you want to see. It's not what you want to see if you've got crypto bags, hey? Yeah. It's pretty hectic, man. Pretty hectic. I mean, you sort of mentioned that you hadn't really seen any of this. Now that you're looking at it, what are you thinking? What do you think's going on?
I mean, you just got to ride with it, you just got to wait it out. That's all you can do. I mean, if our strategy is wait for like over exuberance in the market, then you just got to wait for over exuberance in the market, and it's not here yet. So you just got to keep waiting.
It's not here
yet.
Yeah. I keep thinking you can't get that until people have money to blow. There needs to be like money to blow on crypto. I get the feeling that there are so many people out there that don't have money to blow on crypto. Yeah, so it's tight. And think about, like, compare it to the 2021 cycle when everyone was locked down. They're at home. They're getting like
Yeah.
free money from government, stimulus checks and all this stuff. They're just sitting at home and they're like, what am I going to do with this money? Let me just blow it on crypto and NFTs and stuff. So,
And also take the time to research it all as well, because they're at home and they just want to do something.
yeah. I mean, it's last bull market. Chatting to guys about crypto got me through the bull market.
It
It
was
got
fun, hey? Yeah.
yeah, it
It
got me
was like,
through. It was like
yeah.
the therapy session of like, we were all, not all of us, like some of us escaped, like yourself. But the rest of us were just sitting at home, just going like, this is bizarre. What's going on here? And at least we got to talk about crypto, like something that we're all passionate about, and that was our therapy session. I'm thinking right now, everyone is in need of a good therapy session. When you look at these prices and you think to yourself, okay, well, where were we 4 years? Like everyone talks about the 4-year cycle. Where were we 4 years ago? Where were we 4 years ago? So let's look at
2021.
Ethereum.
It was just after Big Payday. Big Payday was the end of 2020, and 2021 was, we were streaming, and the hex price went over 1 cent for the first time, and then it went up to 10 cents pretty quickly after that.
You know where Ethereum was?
Ethereum would have been
Was
quite expensive back then.
of March 2021. Ethereum was
It'd be double the price it is now.
1,000
Oh, same.
$1,800.
Oh, it's the same, right?
So essentially, from 4 years ago to today, it's been a massive round trip. But you know what the difference was? 4 years ago, in September of 4 years ago and a bit, in September of 2020, the Ethereum price was like 1,100. September, October, November, 1,100. It was like cheap, man. No, sorry. My mistake. 20 October, November. Let's take December of 2020. It was $600. December of 2020. Right? So in that December, or even go even further back, to earlier in 2020 to early 2020, when it was like $200 Ethereum, or even 140, $150. In that lead up to in that following year, it went up to, it went up to
That's a
$2,000.
5K or something, eh?
Yeah. So the difference is, in the lead up, to 4 years ago, in the lead up to where we are now, 4 years ago, it had a massive run up. Right. And the difference is now, you look at the chart, and I should bring up the chart so that we can all look at it and shake our head together in unison. Just bear with me 1 second. Let's see if I can get this thing up. Okay. Are you there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Ethereum,
Yeah. So
huh?
look here. Yeah. Look at Ethereum. Check it out. Like it is.
I can't hear you. Can't hear you, bro. Yeah, I can't hear you. Can people hear me? I don't know. Can I be heard? Oh, so I can be heard,
I
but
can
you
hear you.
can't be.
Sorry, I don't know what went
Oh,
on there.
now you're back. You're back. You're back.
Yeah, yeah,
You're
yeah.
back now.
So
That was weird.
let me bring that chart back up, man. That chart was important. That chart was important. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. How about now? All good? All right.
Yes. Yes. All good.
So the issue is that that was a run up from here, September 2020 to March 2021 was this massive run up. What we've had
Hmm.
here instead is we've had this massive drawdown. We've been up,
Mm.
and then we've had this massive drawdown. So who knows what's going to happen next, right? But if you look at
Hmm.
this trend here, it looks like it's going up. So I'd be really worried if we went below this 1,600 mark. 1,600 mark, I think.
Okay. So, and you're saying today we touched at 1700, so we touched just above that. So high or low?
High or low, I guess. Um, yeah, on the long term, like if we're looking over the course of like 3 years, yeah, high or low. But
Oh, look, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna forever be an eternal optimist with this stuff. Like long-term optimist, short-term pessimist.
it's an opportunity to get some Ethereum at a cheaper price, I guess, isn't it? But
Oh, if you're not in now, like what are you doing? When we're at the we're at the we're at the bottom of prices. I can't like that's what the way it seems to me.
yeah, it's yeah, it's just been sideways though. The thing is that it has just been sideways
Yeah,
since
yeah. I
January
guess we
20.
just haven't got the demand coming in. There's a lot of uncertainty in the world.
Well,
Crypto
I
got
said this to
crypto
you
got
in
a very
person.
big.
I said this to you in
Also,
person the
crypto.
other day, not in person, but over the phone when we were chatting, that you actually called this, even even though when I mentioned it to you, like, oh, did I? I'm like, yeah, you did. You were saying that you thought that you just didn't. You thought it was going to be hard for Ethereum to pump in the bull run. You were like, there's just too
Yeah,
much other stuff out there. Like, why will
yeah.
people transact on an expensive? But you know what the thing is? Ethereum has it's been expensive at times for like glimpses like of being expensive, but for the most part, it's been pretty cheap. Have you noticed how
People
cheap it's been?
people wish it was expensive to transact on, because when it was expensive to transact on, that's what pumped the price. Ironically, but like
Well,
it basically
that's what it
just
makes sense.
they they gave all their users away to these centralized L2s. That's what they did.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just a really bad business decision.
Well, they
And
wanted
maybe
to. They
maybe
needed to
Pulse
have.
Chain had a part in that. Like I don't know. There was so much pressure on them to scale, and
Yeah, I was about to say
you know,
that
it's it's
there
just
was a
it's
lot
just
of.
not a it's just not an easy thing to do from like once you've already built something to then. Well, I mean, I don't know. It's hard for us to know like technologically what's possible and what's not possible. But it would seem to me that if you wanted to build something like if you were
They
years down the
definitely they
track,
scaled. EVM scaled.
yeah,
They scaled.
well, it's
They scaled, but just not in the way that
yeah, but the
that.
way they scaled, yeah, but that's the thing is the way they scaled was by dumping off their users onto these L2s, and those L2s are, are very heavily centralized.
Yeah, they're centralized in more ways than one.
Yes.
Uh, but so they scaled, but at what's the cost of scaling? I mean,
Well,
we got to
but
four. We
also
got
at
to
the
four.
cost of demand for their token,
Yeah, but
their
we did
coin.
get to 4,000. We did get to $4,000, just under 4,000.
Yeah, but it was around that time when everyone was complaining about the fees. That's when that put a lot of pressure on them to start really dispersing it to the L2s.
It's been a long. This has not been a short. The whole L2 thing has been this fascination in crypto for so long. It's almost like it's almost like being a pet. This is what we want to do. We want to scale through L2s, and you know,
Mm.
and it just hasn't. It's worked, but it hasn't worked. Like there are too many sacrifices. There's too many compromises, in my opinion, with the scaling to L2s. There's too many compromises that I think either way at the basic tenets of why crypto was good in the first place. Um,
Mm.
so I really think that um, I'd hate to sound like an Ethereum maxi or whatever, but or a BTC maxi, but there is some truth in the idea that you sort of need to keep your critical mass somewhere, um, because there needs to be
What do you mean by
people
critical mass?
like a critical mass of people who are bidding on block space needs to be scarce. I mean, if you're just going to endlessly
I mean, people putting
scale,
transactions, customers
so
essentially, or users of the network.
okay, so let's take the analogy of like Macca's, right? You've got a Macca's, and you reach capacity with that Macca's. If you're just going to have like 20 other Maccas where burgers are way cheaper, no one's going to eat at your Macca's anymore. That is not progress, because your Macca's is going to fail because you're not going to have, like, prices aren't going to go up, and you need them all to do well, right? You don't need just the new ones to be able to, get the benefit of being called Macca's, but sell cheaper burgers. That's what it's
You've
sort
lost
of
me, bro.
like.
No, you lost me on that analogy.
Well, gas
So
gas
we,
is really cheap
so
on other.
hang
So
on.
so gas so gas is really cheap on other these layer twos, right? Gas is really
Mhm.
cheap. Why is it
It's on
cheap?
Ethereum as well now.
Well, because everyone left. That's why. Like, they're
Yeah,
selling like one
yeah,
one burger one burger an hour over on
yeah,
Ethereum.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so the thing is that scaling's important, but like I really think that the the idea of just like scaling through just like forks of the original chain and just like improving it and then scaling that way as needed makes more sense to me. Makes more sense to me. And I mean, full disclosure, I
But then
you know, it's
then the issue
it's
becomes
it's
bridging.
it's rumored that I own Pulse Chain, like own tokens in Pulse Chain. So that's just my disclosure there. I think Pulse Chain is a good implementation that
I
doesn't.
think we're still really early in this area, and it's technology. So it's very risky to say this is what's is the reality is going to be like in 5 or 10 years.
Oh, we don't know, do we?
Yeah,
There's no way you can know.
yeah, and so these look, all of these different blockchains. We're still early in terms of people developing this technology, and it's interesting because we've seen that the utility and the technology is not necessarily the value. It's more about like just all this kind of mass belief around certain, like cultures that are surround these things.
That's correct. That's correct. But I think a lot of people who get into crypto these days, like, aren't well versed in like the basic tenets of why it even exists in the first place.
Sure. Really? That's hard to say. I don't
Yeah,
know. The
yeah,
people
yeah.
that what
Like
that,
the people. All right, for example, the people who are just into base, like base is the fucking new. It is the best
yeah,
new
but who
thing,
says
and
that? Have you ever heard anyone say that?
not in the circles that I, you know, crypto
Yeah.
circles I speak in, but clearly they've
No.
got like a user base.
Yeah. So, I mean, they've got a whole exchange, so they've got customers, you know, pretty quickly who are automatically connected.
I think out of all of them, I like the Binance the way they did it. They've got an exchange, but they also have like an EVM layer one fork.
Mm.
I think they Kraken haven't done anything, have they?
In terms of putting out their own chain, no. Why
No.
would you even need to? Like it's.
Well, scaling.
I
That's
mean,
the
it's
whole
all
point.
just
Like
experimentation, isn't it?
it's all experimentation. Yeah, yeah. That's the scary thing, isn't it? It's all really just experimentation, and um, yeah, it's experimentation, and all this stuff is, and that's what it can be a little bit disconcerting when you think about. Well, yeah, Bitcoin could still have some critical inflation bug that hasn't been found yet because of just the nature of how it was, how it
The people that
exists and
I
how
run
it was put
into,
together.
people that I run into in the outside world who aren't into crypto yet, but have some sort of interest in it, are very, very scared to get into crypto, and are very kind of like don't know where to start. That's the vibe, and know that it's this huge
That's
thing, a mountain
that
of
tells
learning
me
that you have to kind of go into, and so
that
that
tells me
yeah.
something very important about those people,
Hmm.
that they have a good instinct about them.
Mm.
Because if you're getting into crypto, you and your thoughts are, I'm a bit worried about doing this and how I get into it. That is a very good instinct to have when you're getting into crypto,
Mm.
because you should be careful about what you're doing when you're getting into crypto, because you can get into crypto, and if you think everything's fine and everything will be fine, I think you'll find yourself with not very much in your wallet really quickly. Um, so yeah, that's a really good instinct that those people have. And how do you deal, like how do you speak to them, and or how where do you what direction do you point them in?
Well, I always wait for them to ask for information from me. Like I'll say like I always offer, and I say I'm open to talking and sharing my knowledge and all that kind of stuff. But then they have to kind of say, okay, can we sit down at this time and kind of pick your brains? And so when people do that, then I just like, depends where they're at in their journey, and then I just share the information I got to the best that I can, you know. And often,
That's
it
all you
depends where
can
they're
do,
at,
really.
but yeah, often it's about just explaining self custody at the start, and how to you know have control over your own money and stuff, and then it goes into a very long discussion that can go in all sorts of different areas, and there comes a point where I realize there's information overload, and um like as soon as I start discussing like decentralized exchanges and then liquidity pools, it's like a level. It's just often too much for people to wrap their heads around.
Well, most people most people, you would think that generally most people who are getting into crypto shouldn't have to worry about liquidity pools, at least for a few, like a couple, at
Yeah.
least a few years. Liquidity
Yeah,
pools
they
are
always
not
just ask
something.
me what other things can you do with crypto? And I say, well, there's this you can do, this you can do stake, you can do this, you can do that, and there's this other thing you can do as well, and but yeah, that's normally where their brains like turn off when it sort of starts going down that alley, I think.
And
But it
that's
depends on the
the and
person,
that's
I
the
suppose.
risk. But I don't think most people are genuinely curious. They want to get into it because they think this is something's going on here. Something's going on
Mm,
here. But like not everyone a is curious in that way to go as deep as, let's say, you or I have gone. Like a lot
mm,
of people aren't that curious, and they don't
mm,
want another problem per se in their life. They don't want a problem. They want like a solution. They want something that's going to help them.
mm.
So if they're getting into something that then requires them to spend, 8 to 10 hours a week, messing around with
Right.
settings and doing this and learning stuff that doesn't work sometimes, and beta te- you know beta testing stuff without even knowing you're beta testing it. I think people just sometimes they just want to be able to, hey, I want to buy something and then just sit on it. I just like so many people I know, almost all of the people I've onboarded ever are people who are just like very happy to just buy something. They want their handheld while they're buying it. And once they've got it, they're like, okay, I'm going to sit on this. I'm happy to sit on it for 5 years plus. Most
Hmm.
of the people I speak to, they're just not, they don't want another job. They've already got a job. They don't
Yeah,
want another one.
yeah, but the problem is
Is
then
that a problem
like
though? Is that a problem?
the problem is which one to choose. So just
What?
sit on which crypto to
But
choose,
they
just
they
to
don't have it.
sit on it.
Yeah, well, that is. I mean, but you can't. You would have to say, well, normally you'd say, well, if you really just want to sit on something and you don't mind like you want the minimum risk, you'd probably say, well, now looking back the last couple of years, you'd say, well, Bitcoin, right? You'd say for sure Bitcoin. The last couple of years, um, and as we just showed a few minutes ago, Ethereum. Plenty of people would have said, "Oh, just Ethereum," Ethereum and Bitcoin, but Ethereum hasn't performed that well. It's been very volatile. It's been volatile, man,
No,
which
it's
is
been
good.
dog shit, man.
It's been volatile. Like it's dude, it went it
Ethereum
went
hasn't
up.
been volatile. It's been dog
It's
shit.
been volatile. It's been volatile, man. You don't think it's been volatile? It was up. It was 4 grand not so long ago. It was at 4 grand. It was 4,800 November 20 or 4,800 November 2021.
That's 3 years ago,
It
four
got to
years ago.
yeah, March of
It's
2024,
round tripped.
3,800.
It's basically round trip for the last 8 years.
It's been going sideways. It's been going sideways for like
Dude,
for for four and a half
how much
years.
was
It's been
it?
going
How much
sideways.
was it? How
And
much
and
was
the
it in
sideways is
twenty
from
seventeen?
1,000
How much was it in 2017 at the
20
height?
at the height. It was 1,000, I think 400 at the height. January 2018.
So you basically round tripped from 8 years, 8 years ago.
Yeah. If you well, you're still in profit from 8 years ago, but if you bought the top 8 years ago, you're still in profit now.
Yeah.
But it, you know, if we just look at for the last 4.5 years, we've basically gone between 1,500 between 1,000 and 4,800. Like this, I guess there's a bit of range, but when you're looking at it on the chart, it looks like it's just going sideways, and it looks like it's ready for a nice it really does look like it's ready to go up to the next level. You know, like to the next to the seven.
I want to say a big hello to Red Squirrel. Oi, oi. Hey,
Let me just go through the people in the chat quickly, hey, because there's a few people have turned up, so we'll say good day. Hexagon lost in Asia. We've got academimaciated. Academimaciated. I can't even read right now. It's late for me, right where I am. Hexagon lost in Asia. Quinny Jin, TD, Hands Majested,
Jerry asked his question.
Retrostatic. Have people got questions? Let's have a look. The US needs those stimmy checks ASAP. Where doesn't need those stimmy checks ASAP? Everywhere needs those stimmy checks. TD says, "Hey, gents, nice to see you stream under the current conditions. Yes, we are suckers for pain, TD. We are suckers for pain. And look, to us, it doesn't matter. We stream when there's blood in the streets. It's an opportunity to buy. We'll stream when it's all-time highs, and we'll celebrate. We'll crack bottles on stream."
So hey, in the last few tweets, from Richard, do you think he's seeming to like hint of he's got something else coming up? And if so, what do you reckon that would be? Like, while it's what everyone, I suppose, has been guessing for a while.
That's a really good question, dude. Can I just pause that question? And I just want to go through the rest of some of these people in the chat because they've been good enough to come. And so I just want to say g'day. So I just said there was TD. We got Quinny Jin. We got Bit Finesse. What's going on, Bit Finesse? Shout out to you, my friend.
Long time.
Bit Finesse OG. Listening to the Hex Late Show back in the day. And he's written the RSI on ETH is lower now than it was in August last year, which is a good sign.
That's a good sign.
Tell me what RSI is, dude. I'm not a chart dude.
That's a relative strength index. It's just showing
index. Yeah, that's it.
Relative strength index. So it's showing like the volume, like the relative to something. I'm not sure.
Does this tell me RSI?
So
does this have
low,
RSI here?
If it's low, then it's then people are not. I don't know what that means.
Well, it hasn't been. Ethereum basically, when I look at this chart, the chart we were looking at before, it looks like it's been going sideways for a while, crab walking, and it just looks like at some point and yes, it's come down. It was at 3,200 like a month ago or a month and a half ago, 3,500 when in December, and it's come down, and it's come down a lot. Like it's come down a lot. It's like halved, It's basically halved in like 2.5, 3 months.
Maybe that's the selling is like slowed down. Is that what that means?
It's just come down in price, man. It just come down, and everyone. I think what's so hard to fathom about that is that it's to be like, good strong months, and Ethereum has just like crashing, and that's. But I guess that's what you get. Everyone thought was going to be going up. Of course, it's going to crash. That's what crypto does. When everyone believes one thing's going to happen, it doesn't happen. True Blue, what's going on, buddy? True Blue. Jerry, what's Jerry's question here? Do you think Richard's aspirations of ERC20 is getting paired with PRC20s to bring them to some sort of parity to a point of what he expected? Huh? Is it what he expected? I don't know. I think he was pretty open that he went into it. I think he wanted to plant some seeds of what he hoped the market would do, but ultimately he can't control what everyone does with their tokens, right? He can't control that. Um, and maybe it hasn't turned out quite like he'd hoped, that aspect of it, but I don't think that was the main. I think that was just like, I don't think that was the main focus. Ultimately, the main focus has got to be his core tokens, which are Hex, Pulse, PulseX, and Ink. I think that they really have to be the focus of. I think they must be the focus of what he wants to do well. G'day to Clintrons, Crypto Class. What's happening?
I don't
We've
think
got
it would have been in Richard's
Tim Tot,
plans. I don't think it would have been in Richard's plans when he
Red
did the Pulse
Squirrel,
Chain launch.
Blue Color.
That
Yep.
2 years down the track, the price was going to be so smashed up.
No, but no one would have thought that the price would be where it is now of Ethereum. And as we all know that we're very much tied to Ethereum. We're very much tied to Ethereum in price, I
I know
think.
that. I understand that narrative, but
I don't think that's
completely
a
get it.
narrative. I think that's a liquidity thing. It's also an expectations
You
thing,
also have lots of
right? And
liquidity with
it's
USD.
expectations when so no one should have an expectation that the sacrifice funds, which are in the 170,000 Ethereum, no one should have that expectation that those sacrificed funds, they were sacrificed, are going to get spent for anything that will benefit them, right? However,
Of course.
it is the nature of the human condition that when you see those funds being, moved around and, converted into Ethereum, and it's you can't help but look at it and go, oh, that would pump our bags pretty hard. but
So
the
then, by the
reality,
same token, if Ethereum crashes to zero, does that mean we should crash to zero as well?
you wouldn't want it to, would you? But
I would
if
imagine.
Ethereum's
I mean,
crashing, if Ethereum's crashing
I'm
to
thinking,
zero, it's there's something bad's going on.
look, I
Something bad's
understand
going
that.
on. It,
Yeah.
like what is it? Why is it crashed to zero? Is there a critical vulnerability if Ethereum crashes to zero?
No,
You
no.
know,
Okay, let's say okay, not crash to zero. It crashes to $80.
yeah, that wouldn't be good for Pulse Chain. That's for sure. I don't think that would be great for Pulse Chain. But
But
Ethereum is such
necessarily, like, I mean, yeah. I
not
mean,
not
I
not
understand.
not automatically. I don't think automatically. Just like if Bitcoin. Oh, okay, all right, I got a question for you. So let's say Bitcoin gets that, like they find this critical bug in Bitcoin, right?
Mhm.
Bitcoin. Let's just say Bitcoin's fucked, right? Completely and utterly screwed. They can't, like, the only thing they can do is like fork it, or do they have to do some crazy shit because the code base is just fucked, right?
Mhm.
What happened? Everyone tip out of Bitcoin in the existing, like the
Yeah, they
people
just
just
fork
tip
it
out
to someone.
on thought.
I know.
And what are they going to go to? They're going to go to Ethereum. What would you go to if you have
They'll go
Bitcoin?
to the most. No, someone. I mean, I don't know. The people who run the Bitcoin repository will probably just release a new Bitcoin, and then everyone will jump. Whichever one all the biggest influencers jump on, that's the one that will kind of probably gain the value. Guess. I mean, we saw all of that happen, with forks of Bitcoin. It's and in the end, the one with the most media strength, or the most kind of the one that has the most is just perceptually the strongest, that people
Social,
perceive as
the
the strongest.
social,
That's what goes to value.
the
Yeah,
one that's got
because Bitcoin
the
Cash,
social.
because Bitcoin Cash ended up having more utility than Bitcoin, but nowhere near the the value. So it really was, people were basically like herded into that one,
Was
and
that a
and
shame? Have you
yeah,
have
I
you
mean, it's
read
always
the hijacking
for
Bitcoin?
learning and experimentation. Yeah, I did. I skimmed it because there's also lots of stuff that I actually knew about from listening to Roger in the past, you know. So a lot of stuff wasn't news to me.
It was an interesting book. I mean,
Yeah.
it's interesting about like how he's basically making the argument that uh, the Bitcoin that we know today has been hijacked by bigger entities now, and you know it's not the Bitcoin that it was supposed to be. You know, it's not. It can never fulfill the peer to
The
peer
white
cash.
paper. Yeah. Yeah. But it was never going to anyway. Like with that first iteration, the tech just wasn't there.
Well, I mean, what's
Um,
interesting was that the things I was reading about the Lightning Network, I found that the most eye-opening stuff to me. I didn't know that stuff. Um,
mm,
did you like in the book? It's talking about how even if like if people needed to, and I can't remember the figures exactly, but it would be absurdly inadequate. Like Lightning Network, to onboard everyone to the Lightning Network, you could never onboard the world to it. So even if you wanted to use Bitcoin and then use the Lightning Network as the layer two to do peer to peer transactions and all the other stuff, which is what Bitcoiners say, it would never be sufficient. It could never onboard the whole world, ever, ever, ever.
mm,
It's just there's no way. It just does not have the capacity. So
mm.
that was I didn't know that. Like I had no idea that it was so like the Lightning Network was so um,
There
for a
wasn't any
scaling
missing.
solution for a
Yeah.
scaling solution how inadequate it was as a scaling solution. Like I had
Yeah.
no idea. So that was interesting to me. But um, yeah, man. Look, we find ourselves in this place where we sort of saw this guy Richard Hart have like an idea. He sort of executed his idea. It came to fruition, and then there've been hurdles and hiccups along the way. He did not know that the Ethereum were going to increase the S load and make ending stakes so expensive. He did not know that. No one knew that. That was like when that happened. That was a surprise. Everyone was upset about it. It's like, why are you guys doing this? And that
Mm-hmm.
pushed it. If you think about it, if that hadn't have happened, there probably wouldn't have been a pulse chain anytime soon.
Definitely not. Definitely
So
not.
it's yeah, yeah, it's we would have just been on. It would have just been Hex by itself, and we would have just been on Ethereum, and people would have been ending their stakes, and stakes would have you would have been able to end stakes for cheap, and it would have been fine. Even with the price increase of Ethereum, it would have been absolutely fine. It was that S load that really screwed things up pretty bad.
Mm.
But if you've tried to end a stake on Ethereum recently, it's not so bad. There's
It's the moment. Yeah.
I don't know what it was. Last time I checked, it was under one Gwei. It was like zero 0.8 of a
It's
Gwei.
0.7 right now.
Yeah, that's I've never seen it that low, ever. Even like I don't think I've
I
seen
remember
it
when.
that low.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
No,
it
I
was
don't
so
remember it
much.
being that low. It was always like five
Yeah.
or 10. It was never that low.
Really? Yeah. Base
Yeah.
base fee is 0.7. Recommended base fee is 1.4. But it's nothing. Yeah. Time to mint some NFTs.
Um, you mentioned something before. Uh, you were asking what were you asking before? You had a question, and I said,
Well,
"Can we?"
I think I said, like, was this when I said it wouldn't have been in Richard's plans to like have this price be this bad after 2 years? Is that what you mean? Or
No, before, and then I just said I want to keep, shouting out to the people in the chat.
I can't remember. Yeah.
No, it was like, what do you think? What do I think? If you guys remember what it was in the chat, remind us, because we are quite clearly losing our minds out here after after all this blood in the street. Um, True Blue writes, human condition is to also think we know better than others about what they should do with their funds or what decisions to make. This is true. This is true.
You reckon?
People like to tell other people what to do, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah, but about money and what cryptos to buy.
Even though we are gate kept, we still seem to dump just as much, if not more, than other
Oh, I
crypto
asked you.
not
Yeah,
gate kept.
today.
Mm.
Like I was asked because like Richard's put out a few tweets recently. It looks like he's hinting towards something is coming up, and I'm just,
Yes, that was a great.
you
Yeah.
know, is
Well,
is it
what
a
do you
wallet? Is it going to be a sacrifice?
do? You
Or
know
is
what I
it,
was
what else
thinking?
is there?
How good would it be? So I was reading about some stuff, and someone like reading about, like, you mentioned something to do with railgun not long ago, and I was reading about um like
Privacy
with
and everything.
railgun, there's like, I'm not sure how it works. It's like there's a ZK layer. It's like a shielded wallet, a shielded like address that you
Uh-huh.
can move things into.
Uh-huh.
But like you can have in these shielded like addresses, you can have like a whole ecosystem. You can have decks, you can have you can provide liquidity, and it's all shielded. There's all that sort of stuff. So if that tech exists, imagine creating a wallet where all that stuff was just there.
The
How
Ethereum
cool would
upgrade
that
must
be?
be pretty soon, right?
Well, it should be in March. They've
Yeah, so
actually been
we're in
really
March.
good with their upgrades in the last couple of years. I remember their upgrades used to
Yeah, they
be
hardly did anything for years.
ye-
They did fuck
years. They
all
were
for
just
years.
sucked. They used to just drag it out, like drag it out for
Yeah.
years and years. Like the Ethereum 2.0 move to proof of stake was the longest, most drawn out upgrade of all time. I think that thing took
Mm.
like, how long did that take? That probably took about 5 years. That thing, it took so
Yeah.
long.
Yeah. Something lit a
But yeah,
fire
so,
under their bum. Yeah.
so yeah, so what? If I had a wish of what would be awesome for Pulse Chain, would be something like that.
Or what?
Something that there's like a ZK layer with like all this, like with all the ZK, like with the ZK, um, ZK standing for zero knowledge, like DEX, liquidity providing, like all of that stuff. That would be awesome. I think that would be awesome. But I don't know how that. I don't know how, what would be involved in putting that together. But something that also has a wallet that is incorporated into that. I think that would be cool. It's out there
Mm.
already. This type of stuff's out there. But to have that, it's sort of just like, oh, okay. It's like you can do all of this stuff on a zero knowledge sort of layer. You can do all of that stuff. Okay, well that changes crypto completely, doesn't it?
Yeah, I
sort of
have no idea
changes it.
how that's structured. So you have these what you call shielded addresses. Does that mean that you need a private key in order to see into that address, or what?
I think so. Yeah, I think
Okay,
so.
and so then
You can also have
and so
like a
then
you can have a viewing key
right.
where someone can view it, like, and that I think that's supposed to be for compliance purposes. Like, so for example, this type of thing would allow people to transact,
Prove to prove
and
something,
so it would
basically.
allow business. It actually is good for something like businesses. So a
Mm.
business able to pay people, receive payments. The people getting paid and the people paying you wouldn't be able to see what's going on in the address.
Ah, okay, okay.
But there's also a viewing key that you can provide if for some reason there's like some compliance obligations and things need to be checked out. You can give people a viewing key to be able to view what's in there. This is my understanding of how this stuff works.
Well, it's gonna be really interesting how they make a user interface for all of this stuff as well, because
It would
that's probably gonna need to be improved.
well, it doesn't look any different to you when you're using it because you have
Yeah.
got you have access to, you're looking at everything. It's just that it can't get tracked from outside.
So
Like
so
it
this
can't.
so this is already happening on Railgun, is what you're saying? I've gotta fuck around with Railgun.
I think so. I think on Railgun there's the ZK addresses, and then there's like Dex. There's Dexes on the ZK layer. I'm going to call it a layer. I don't even know the
So
terminology for it.
have you used Railgun?
No,
Right, okay. But you don't know
I've
how it
I've just
works.
I've just been I've just been reading about it, man. Because you mentioned
So
it like maybe a couple
yeah,
of weeks ago, and I
yeah,
got interested interested to find
right.
out a bit more about like what's up with it because I've heard it around for a couple of years, but I have never, um, yeah, I've never like gotten into doing anything with it.
Hey, Red Squirrel, do you know when EIP 7702 is due to launch? I got a little quick
So
Google search
Red
here.
Squirrel is. Do you want to talk about that?
No, because that's when he. I haven't asked him, but we should ask him before we start talking about it. But also, it's not finished or anything. He's working on shit. Dev's cooking.
But he's cooking. But he's cooking
Yeah,
something. Yeah.
Dev's cooking. Yeah, Squirrel is cooking.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, and Squirrel, anytime you want to talk or us to talk about it, I'd be happy to, obviously. But, but yeah.
But don't you think that would change? Like that changes a lot because all right, think about it this way. That would actually change the crypto industry because for this reason, it would because we're when it comes to the actual usage of the tech, our community is like A1 at the top of like as far as onboarding everyone into a certain type of thing, we're the number one. We are the number one community for being able to do that. Like if someone comes out with some new shit that is
Yeah,
good, right? So if let's say the devs, Richard Hart's devs, come out with something new that's really good, then I think
yeah,
I think everyone would just like start using it, and then you really really quickly you'd have like thousands upon thousands, tens of thousands, possibly a couple of 100,000 people using this new privacy stuff, which gives you back your privacy, right? Which is sort of needed, and it means that there are more business applications for it. It becomes more useful because a lot of man, I got a notice in the mail the other day that the percentage interest rate on credit card transactions for international transactions has gone up by like 1%. I'm like, well, that sucks. You know, I think it went
Mm.
from like 2.5 to 3.5 or something like that. I'm like, that
Mm.
sucks. Now, if I want to buy something overseas with my credit card, it's going to cost me 1% more. It already cost me. I was already paying a 2.5% tax. Now I'm going to pay 3.5% tax on it, a fee, and it's like that sucks, you know, because yeah, it sucks, man. It quite literally sucks. So I think this idea of crypto replacing banks. Look, we may not replace banks, as in I don't think they're going to go anywhere for a long time. But let's start like replacing them a bit. You know, let's start replacing them a bit. That'd be cool, wouldn't it? If we could just replace them a bit, because they suck.
Yeah,
They really do.
yeah, big time. Yeah,
Who who
agreed.
who has ever tried to do anything with banks and not be a pain in the butt? You know, and they are constantly like they're meant to be the people who hold all of our money, right? But they're just constantly trying to close, you know, they're trying to close their branches and not give us access to cash. Like they're constantly trying to like take away the very things that makes them useful. And
Yeah,
it's
pretty
almost like they're fucking
really
blind to the fact that over here in the wings is just a replacement tech for your dumbasses. It's just sitting here in the wings waiting for you guys to keep fucking up in the way you are. And then you're going to get to a point where you fuck up so much and you're so useless that people are going to be like, well, why are we even using these guys anymore? Why are we using them? Right now we still
yeah,
need to use them, but hopefully there's a point where we don't. We got a choice.
yeah, big time. And it was always ironic to me that the government start talking about CBDCs. So like their answer is to come up with a worse product that people are going to want less.
Union
They
uh
really,
marching right into CBDCs. And, this idea that
but no one's going to want to. No one's going to want to use these things. They'll use something if they have to, but no one is going to like. People are going to limit how much they use these things.
well, they're not going to have much choice. That's the problem. The problem is
But they do.
they and
No, they do have choice now because they've got
well,
this
their
whole
choice is to
digital
learn about
fucking.
crypto,
They've
real
got this
crypto.
whole crypto world.
No,
Yeah,
their choice is
yeah,
to learn about real crypto because all the other stuff is going to go away. Like they're going to take away the whole cash thing is already going away. I mean, there are some places I think about like southern Italy where I've spent quite a bit of time, where they really like cash. They've always liked cash. They really have resisted,
yeah.
cards.
Europe has most cities in Europe is cashes
But
all over the
but
place.
but that has been
It's so
historically
weird.
the way it's been, and they've resisted. They've always resisted. But I've noticed that you know, the powers that be have been squeezing slowly, pushing people towards cards and using
Mhm.
cards. They've been pushing them that way, getting them like reliant on them, and and they're still pretty like it's not like, for example, in Australia where you go places and they may not have any cash to give you change if you want to pay in cash. They'll be like, "Oh, sorry, we don't take cash." Like,
Really?
what? You don't you don't take cash?
Isn't that illegal in
Yeah.
Australia?
No.
Really?
Well, maybe. Look, dude, laws are such interesting things, aren't they? They're such interesting things because when when like the people in power don't want them to be enforced or don't want to push a point, they don't enforce them, right?
Mm. Yeah.
But when they do want to enforce a law, they
They'll
will go
find
hard and
and they'll
enforce it.
find whatever.
That
Yeah.
yeah, they'll find a way to make make that and the thing that is so crazy about, like, if you think, like, really have a good think about this, man. Laws, like, if you had to go read all the laws that exist in a country,
You can't.
you would not be able to. You can't, like, you could read it, but you would not.
No
By the time you
one
finish it,
no one can
you would
know
not remember what you read.
all of the laws. Not just
No.
it's impossible to
However, no one can know all the laws,
yeah.
but if you break the law, you are expected. You should have known.
That's not an
You
excuse.
should have.
It's not an excuse.
It's no,
No, yeah.
it's not an excuse. No, but think about it. Like the irony of it. Like the irony of it. Like there's no way that any one person can know all the laws. Even
Yeah.
lawyers. There's no way lawyers know all the laws, right? They
Mm,
maybe know the laws
mm,
in a particular, very
mm,
niche area, but they don't know all of them, right? But you
mm.
are expected to know all the laws, and if you break a law,
And
so
then
so
not
you
only that, and not only that, you have all of these laws, but then you also have all of these regulations and statutes. And it's a way for these like bureaucrats to write in essentially rules or law. They're not laws officially, but like essentially they are under these different kind of like subcategories and shit like that. So a lot of it's like just fucking bureaucrats making shit up as well.
and and there are so many laws that you don't know who's you don't know. Yeah, so ultimately the only way, if someone says, "Hey, you've broken the law," the only way to all that you can do really is go consult, like, get legal advice, and then hope that it's cut and dry in your favor. Otherwise, break out the credit card, break out the checkbook, because you're going to have to pay someone a lot of money to enforce your
Right.
your rights, or it's a bit, and that's not the way it should be, obviously. But I think there's been plenty of cases I've seen in Australia in recent years, plenty of cases of people who have been, I think pretty clearly picked on by the people in power, and sort of they want to make an example of them. So they're like, okay, this person who's been protesting against, lockdowns, or freedom of movement, or whatever, and now we're gonna put that we're gonna arrest that person, and the process is the punishment. So yeah, they might drop the case at the 11th hour, but you've already spent, like, possibly tens of
Yeah.
thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars to try and defend yourself, but there's nothing
Not to
that
mention
you can
time
do
and
about
energy.
it. And
Mm.
like the best example of that, that I can think of right now is like the Richard Hart SEC case in the US. So the SEC comes out with this case that Richard Hart has committed fraud and securities fraud with Hex, Pulse, and PulseX, and he needs to be held to account, and blah blah blah. So he's probably had to spend, probably millions of dollars on lawyers,
Mm. Mm.
and then the case gets dismissed, and not by the judge. But not only does it get dismissed for lack of jurisdiction, it gets dismissed, but the judge makes a point of it to go out and say, hey, not only have I dismissed this case for lack of jurisdiction, but if there was jurisdiction, you guys still wouldn't have a case because your
Mm.
your your case sucks. So she went out of
Mm.
her way to say that. And it just goes to show you, and like, so who the
And
SEC
and
is
also
government funded. But that's the point. The SEC is government funded. So it's
and
taxpayer.
also okay, but also she gave the SEC a window, but that window is only 20 days. So she only gave the SEC a very small window that where they could amend it and like go again. But if they
Yeah,
don't fulfill that within the 20 days,
but
then
how
that's
can
it.
they?
It's
But they
pardon?
yeah, but there's
Then
nothing for them to amend. They got no case. There's like
rewrite? No,
what
of
new
course they could. They
evidence
could do. They could rewrite the whole fucking thing, man. Like, if an amendment, they
with
could just
what
write.
resources? No, but with what resources? There's a new. I mean, if look, if Gary Gensler was still there, if they still had all these crypto, they
I'm not. I'm
moved
not. This is not the
like
argument. This is not. This is not my argument. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that she purposely gave them enough rope to hang themselves. So she's given them. She can say, "I gave you the opportunity," but she only gave them a very small opportunity, and basically that's going to close the door on the whole thing. Because then I think it's with you can't
with
can't
prejudice.
charge him again with that same thing.
Yeah,
You can't go after him
you
again. Like
can't
that's
say
it. Kind of
you
thing.
can't say securities fraud. You can't come out and say and
Actually, I'm not
basically
sure. Actually, I'm not sure
no, no.
about that. I'm not sure what they
I'm
can
pretty
and can't
sure,
do.
unless it's going to be something completely different. That would have to be something completely different. You know,
It might not actually. Maybe. I mean, who the fuck knows? Like in 4 years, let's say the Democrats get in and it goes to shit again, and Gary comes back in. Maybe Gary's like
Gary
running for
comes
president
back.
and
Oh,
beats
the
fucking Trump.
nightmare. Can you imagine if he ran for
The nightmare.
president?
That's what I want to ask you about. Like how do you think Trump's gone in his first? Has it been 100? How many days has it been? It's only been like 2 months. It's crazy, hey? How much like
I think that
January, February,
it feels like
March? Wow.
he hit the ground running, and
Oh, no
they're getting
shit, eh?
stuff done. It feels
Yeah.
like they're getting stuff done. I mean, do I agree with everything that Trump says or does? Absolutely not. Um, is he getting stuff done? Yes. Is it like way better than what like he's done? It feels like he's done more in 2 months than Biden did in 4 years. It just
Oh,
feels like he's
easily.
just they're just
Yeah.
going,
But
going hard.
any politician,
Um,
like, can you remember a time when any politician has come in and has done so much in their first 2 months? Like,
no,
I can't think of
never.
any politician in any country even.
And he almost got hit shot in the face as well. Dude, he got shot in the
Yeah.
face. Holy shit! It's like we've forgotten about the fact that he actually got shot in the face, and he
Not to
got shot in the
mention,
face.
and there was another attempt on his life. Not to mention
Yeah,
how many are have there been that we haven't heard about? I don't know. He's still in danger as well. That's the crazy
he's
shit,
in.
eh?
Yeah, yeah. I'll tell you who's in
Like,
danger. Bloody Elon Musk is in danger, mate. They're going after him so
no,
hard right now.
yeah.
Have you noticed
Aren't
what they're
they?
doing with
Aren't they?
Tesla? They're just going after Tesla now. They're going after him, so he feels
Yeah,
like he has to take his eyes off the Doge ball, right? And because he's like kicking goals there, and he's
yeah,
going to have to put. But you know, this stuff, it goes to show you that they must be doing some good work. They must be
mm,
doing some good stuff for all these entities to be going so hard and fighting back in this way. They
yeah.
must be hitting some raw nerves. They must be
Oh,
really
yeah,
digging deep and getting to the the source of where all like a lot of these funds how
yeah,
they're being used fraudulently.
yeah,
Like they saved a lot of money. There's a Doge clock actually. Is it where's the
yeah.
Doge clock? Where's the Doge clock?
I don't know. I
Um
can't remember what the website is. Yeah.
it's a US debt clock.
Oh, the deck. No, there's actually a Doge. They've found what they. There's actually a Doge thing as well.
No, I think they added Doge to the national debt clock.
Oh, really?
Did they? Or did they not? Joe, this is so like, what the fuck? I'll have a look.
Doge.
I'll have another
It's
look.
just Doge.gov.
Doge.gov. Is it?
What's this? Pilot program with 16 agencies to audit unused, unneeded credit cards. After more than 200,000 cards have been deactivated.
Dude, they have saved so far $105 billion. They've saved $105 billion, dude. That's insane.
Yeah. How many people in America? It's like 250 million or something.
Look at this. And they're 5% of their goal. Their goal is 2 trillion in savings. Now, is that per year? Is that savings per year or it's savings all up? It's $652 per taxpayer. That's insane. And they've got 480 days remaining. So why have they only got 480 days? Like, what is it about?
What happens in 480 days?
Yeah.
I have no
Here
idea.
it's
What
got,
site is this?
this is Doge/tracker.
Oh. But Doge dot what? Or Doge dot tracker or something or what?
It's Doge-tracker.com. Oh, hang on. Let me look up the Doge clock. Here we go.
Yeah, what's the days remaining till what?
What's that?
It's days remaining until what? Like 480 days remaining until what? Was that when was that the midterms or something like that, or
Yeah, maybe.
like a year and a half away?
I think that this is the best thing ever, man. I think it's the best thing. I think it should be a part of. There should be an adversarial part of government goes and constantly looking for savings and efficiencies in government. I think this should just be like something that happens all the time. It should never get that out of control. Like we're sort of in Australia. It's I think it's pretty crazy in Australia as well. Um, but yeah, that's insane. But look, let's get off the let's uh let's get talk about crypto, man. What do you think? What do you see in the next few months, man? What do you see happening? Because I think this is this drop in Ethereum, I think, has caught a lot of people by surprise. I don't think many people thought it was going to go below 2,000. Just seeing that 1,000 there on Ethereum is sort of, I think it's a bit scary for a lot of people. Um, what do you think is going to happen?
I think this year is going to be, we're going to see irrational exuberance at some point. Either this year or Jan, latest Feb next year. By sometime in between then, we're going to see like full ball irrational exuberance. And so I'm just gonna wait back and see what happens. Like, and it could come as a double thing. Like, it could do this huge pump and then do a massive correction, but then go again. I think it's just going to be super. I mean, it's been so choppy and so volatile these last few weeks. Hey, feels like every single move is like massive. Maybe that's since he took the liquidity out or thinned the liquidity. But it feels like everything's like massively up, massively down, like not massively up, more or less like, yeah.
I mean, it has been pretty. it has been pretty volatile, but the it looks like it's been volatile to the downside more than to the upside. But like, don't you think that this was always going to happen as like a reaction to the cutting
Everyone
of the
thinking it's going to
yield?
happen.
No, no, just to the cutting of the
Ah,
yield. Don't you think that like the cutting of the yield is maybe pushing some entities to who used to maybe live off the yield to maybe have to sell down some of their principal and just reassess what's how they're playing their hex bags.
sell it. Oh, they're selling down their hex principle. You're saying?
Yeah, I mean, if people are living off hex, right,
Oh,
and
I
they've
see
got
what you're
no
saying.
choice but to sell it, right, they're going to have to sell it whether it's cheap or not cheap. They used to be able to sell
Yeah.
their yield, but now their yield is cut into a quarter, so they're having to sell maybe some of their principal. And if they're selling at these prices, it's probably better that they're having to get out at these prices than when it's
I
at
don't think there'd be many people who'd set up their life to be living off hex interest. Like you reckon?
there'd be a few. I think there would be a
I
few.
mean,
There were
that
maybe
that that
a
would
few big players. They'd have to be big players, but there were a few rolling stakes. This will basically eliminate the rolling stake people because now you need four
yeah,
times as much
you're rolling
hex
short term.
to get the same amount of four times as much hex to get the same amount of like yield in a month's stake. So it sort of just you know pushes all those people out.
Mm.
But yeah, man, it's definitely interesting times. And I would say to people who are really concerned and worried, I would say that, you know, I feel like I've lived through quite a few of these, what seem like dire circumstances in crypto. Um, the macro's never been like this though. So I don't want to like, say there's nothing to worry about. There's always something to worry about, but what I'd say is this is another day in crypto. Really, this is not unheard of or unseen. This sort of stuff happens, you know, sporadically, but semi-regular basis, and it's not crazy. I guess the craziest thing about it would be just the timing of it. Is it's in a time when I think a lot of people are anticipating prices pumping rather than being drawn down so much. We should also bear in mind that there's uh, all that those funds from the hackers that happened not too long ago, and we could be seeing we could be seeing some of those funds being sold on the market, and maybe they've obfuscated how they've done that. Maybe it's not obvious due to how they've done it. But like maybe that's just the funds getting sold on the market and things coming down. But I, I, I just always think that it's an
Wouldn't
opportunity
you
if you.
wouldn't you keep it? Wouldn't you keep it in some form of crypto if you were going to launder that much money? Why would you?
I have
Why would you
no
try
idea.
to turn it back to some sort of currency? Like it's easier to fuck around with crypto, surely.
I
Oh,
don't know,
no idea
man.
though.
I have
Yeah.
no like. Yeah, I don't know enough about the machinations that go on, in these these
You know
nation
how everyone
states
was
that are
going
doing
on
these
about
kind of
how
stuff.
they're these North Korean hackers. I don't. It's so. I think people are so silly to draw that conclusion that they're North Korean hackers. Like we all know that there's like software out there that attributes, like you can fake attribution. Like there's no way in the world, even if they are North Korean hackers, that you could know that they're North Korean hackers. Like let's just stop this bullshit. Like
I don't know. I am just repeating what I've heard. That I heard it was a North Korean hackers. I don't know the veracity of you know of it,
I
but
bet you if you look into it,
they
like I haven't
so
looked into,
they,
I haven't
they were
looked into it
hackers.
either.
They were sophisticated
Exactly.
hackers, by the way. They were
It
sophisticated.
it could be an inside job as well.
Oh, it's most
You
likely
know?
an inside job because the hardware
Yeah.
was compromised, right?
There you
So
go.
if the hardware is compromised, that
Yeah.
means that they had their, and it was multi-sig from my understanding. So that means that whoever did it, yeah, that was my understanding, that it was, but it also had something to do with Gnosis Safe, and I don't know
Yes.
exactly what it
Well,
had to do with no.
what it was is that they found a way to spoof messages from like Gnosis Safe through the Gnosis Safe like web UI, and so that's how they got them. So the people thought they were signing a normal message or that said something, and it was actually signing this other message, which is just sending all the funds out.
That's some scary shit, man. That is scary.
Yeah, yeah,
That's scary,
yeah.
dude.
Because
That's
when it
why,
like even if you have a hardware, like there's a whole lot of this big kind of thing of numbers and letters comes up, you have no idea what you're actually signing really.
yeah,
You're not
yeah.
decompiling it.
No, you don't know. You don't know what it is. You're assuming what comes up is the correct information, and as long as it's
Yeah.
got the correct address, or the amount, or whatever, you
But
assume that it's correct. But
none of that shows in your Trezor or your ledger.
yeah, I mean, and I was telling you the
It
other
really
day that I'm not a fan of, like, the fact that you go to sign a transaction using a Trezor and that connects to the Trezor website. It's like,
uh,
why? Like, I don't,
uh,
like, why?
mm.
If I need to, if this transaction requires a signature from my device, why does it need to go to the Trezor website?
Maybe because if people spoof their website or something, like it's a way for them to ensure that
But it's quite
the
a central,
right one has
like,
been used. I have no
apart
idea.
apart from the privacy element of it, like the lack of privacy element of it, like, clearly, if Bluebum is doing a transaction using a Trezor, Bluebum doesn't want Trezor to be I fucking what's going on when he's doing it.
Yeah.
But obviously, Trezor servers have logs of something going on
Mm.
when that transaction happens. I think that shit is, could, like, I don't understand why that's required. And that could be just a technological thing I don't understand, but I thought that you could just, like, use a hardware wallet. The way I think a hardware wallet should be used is that you need to sign a transaction with your private keys. You've got your hardware wallet. You sign the transaction. Your hardware wallet sends off this signature, which has been signed with your private key. Gives off this signature to the
Mm.
website that is requesting it for the transaction, and that's it. And then it gives you the signature, and the transaction goes through. Right?
Yep.
Why does Trezor's website need to be involved in that process? Like, I don't.
I mean, is there a way for it not to
I,
be like? Could you build a like an app interface where you could just sign it without having to go to Trezor's website? Like, and you could put
Maybe.
in
I
your
mean,
passphrase stuff.
Trezor's open source, so the
So you could probably
firmware is
just fork
open
it
source.
oh, there you go. So you could probably fork it and use it yourself, hey?
I could not fork it.
No,
I
but no,
couldn't.
no. One,
No.
I mean, someone who knew what they were doing.
Yeah, it's always that. It's always that. But, like, it sort of brings up that it's an age old debate, and I know you can get crucified for saying this, but there are people out there who the question is, are secure enclaves better than just a general purpose computer
Mhm.
for with a wallet on it? Like, what's better? What's better? And I think it all comes down to what's your level at. For most people, I think hardware wallets are definitely better. Um, but if you are very careful and have you got your system locked down, maybe software wallet is okay for you. You know, software wallet's
Mm.
definitely easier from a signing a transaction perspective. Like,
No,
have you
no
know
doubt.
the difference between signing a transaction on a soft wallet, just like if you're using a MetaMask per se, um, is a matter of like just like one or two clicks. Whereas if you're doing it on a Trezor or a Ledger, it's like it's a process. You
Mm.
know, especially with Trezor, I just find Trezor just it is a process. It really is a
Yeah, no doubt.
process.
And sometimes it doesn't work, and you have to close it and try it again, and you kind of you start to learn the nuances of it a bit, you know.
Like people who are looking at porn on like on the computer that they're doing crypto on, I would say, yeah, you should probably have a hardware wallet and for fuck stop looking at porn on format it and start again. But I don't think that's something that like new people in the crypto have to know. They have to people
Mm.
have to know that because I think in general. Okay, let me give you an example of just how when it comes to security, most people are completely clueless about like what you know. So a family member has recently installed some cameras in their home,
Mhm.
out not in their home, but for outside their home, and the company that they used, they want you if you want to access it from um, outside via the internet, you need to download their app. So they actually contacted me and said, "Oh, do you mind downloading the app and testing it for me?" And I go to look at the app, and the app wants like so many permissions, like to
Mm.
the point where I'm just like, I'm not comfortable with this shit. And I thought,
Mm.
well, okay, maybe so I went and downloaded like an image of a phone, like an Android phone, and
Mm.
you know downloaded the APK, which is like the file uh, for that particular app, and it just wouldn't work because I think because it was just missing too much information that maybe it probably wanted. I'm just assuming this. It was just the Android uh, virtual machine that I was running. I was running it without like a account, and I think this app wants like it wanted so much information, man. It wanted like it just wanted even wanted like phone calls, access to text messages, access to any payments you'd made, like with cards, any like all this stuff, man. It just wanted all of this, and it's like the guy who installed it has been installing heaps of these, and he's like, yeah, they're really good, and I'm like, yeah, they're also like a Chinese company that I know nothing about and they want all this information. Why do they need all this information? Like I just don't understand. Why do they need all this information?
Mm.
Can you think of a reason why they would need like, what you ate for breakfast and all the transactions you've done and what your text messages and phone calls and device IDs and all the other all this other important information. I just can't understand why they need that. There are plenty of apps out there that don't require anything, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, anyway, man, you see, we might be, we've been going for about an hour and a half. Um,
Yeah, I'm good done. Yeah. You is there anything else you wanted to chat about?
I think I would just say to people, the only thing I want to say is just like, yeah, this is, I don't think it's all over. I think that like,
It's far from all over, that's for sure.
yeah, I don't think it's all over. I think it's just one of those things. It's it could be a nice opportunity for people who haven't. You can't assume that everyone has their bags packed. A lot of people have not, and this is an opportunity for them to get pack their bags. And if you get to
True.
buy hex, for example, at under 1 cent, well, kudos to you. Well done. Good on you. You deserve it. And yeah, I hope you. I hope you guys all make some money off these dips. Did you have anything you wanted to mention?
No, man. I think it actually, like, I'm very used to just waiting and all this stuff out. Like, there's way more. It's markets are way more down than they are up, and so you kind of just learn to live with it. Hey?
Yeah, but how do you feel about the fact that Ethereum hasn't hit its previous all-time high this far into the bull run?
With crypto, it never goes how you think it's going to go.
That's true. That is true.
It really doesn't. The times where it's been bull, it surprised me, and the bear is kind of understandable, and I have had that feeling about next couple of years is going to be a bear, but yeah, it's still it's the timing and stuff like that. Like in a 2 or 3 months from now, the story could be so completely different, and people will just not remember this at all.
Well, context. In the 2021 bull run, Ethereum hit its previous all-time high in, I think it was March. In March 2021. So
now,
basically, essentially, yeah, at this point. So that would mean for us to be at the same point, we would need to be just under $5,000 for Ethereum.
or is that just at the same price that it was back then?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that 4 years ago, yeah, it's at the same price it was back then, but 4 years ago, it was at its previous all-time high.
Yeah.
So, it just look.
Yeah.
They say that these things rhyme. They don't repeat. They
History
rhyme.
rhymes.
And people look. I know this is a very sort of, it catches a lot of heat, when people say it, but like, it might be different. It might be a bit different this time. It certainly is. There's been a lot of different things, and one of the biggest things is now we have, in crypto, in Bitcoin at least, we've seen the arrival of institutional money. But have we seen the arrival of institutional money into Ethereum? Have they really gone into Ethereum yet? I don't know.
Yeah.
But have they?
Yeah, they've got an ETF and shit. I mean, maybe
I know they've got an ETF. I know they've got an ETF, but have they actually gone? Do you think that maybe Bitcoin got all the love, and maybe Ethereum
from institutions
got the love yet? Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Oh, who knows?
I don't know
Mate?
what they
Who knows?
think. Yeah.
Anyway, mate, we've been going for about an hour and a half. It's been good chatting to you. Yeah. Big shout out to everyone who came along to who joined in and wrote in the chat. Make sure you give us a thumbs up, and if you're here on the replay, write something in the comments. We'd really appreciate it. It helps the algorithm. It helps with our morale as well. Helps us feel good about ourselves when someone makes the effort to write something in there.
Really? Did you follow the comments, do you? I don't even look at any of them.
Well,
I mean, you've got access to it all, hey?
Well, I think when people write something, it makes you feel like, well, at least I didn't waste my time talking, even though maybe we wasted yours. uh, all right, thanks, guys.
Cool.
We
See everyone.
will we'll see you next time.
Yeah. See you, Squirrel.